Good morning. This video is to serve as an introduction to SAS for many of you. For some of you it may be a refresher and how to enter SAS and where you enter a program and how to do a little bit of basic editing. So in many of our statistical methods classes you're exposed to the SAS programming language, and we will see that in this course as well. I will give you templates of programs and teach you throughout the course what you can change or not change. SAS is an internationally recognized statistical analysis package, and so we're not teaching you something that's not it is widely used, and so we're just going to go through some very basic steps to assist you in executing your SAS program, how you print some things, and how you store files. Exactly what the program is doing and the type of analysis it's doing is not covered in this particular video. This is merely just to get you started and get you introduced to the editor. So as you can see, I've got this handout called Getting Started in SAS, and so the video will follow along with this handout, although I'll use a different program once we get to that point. I'll use one of your class examples rather than the generic example given in this handout. So it just assumes that you're familiar with Windows, you know how to page up and down and open documents and that sort of thing. And you understand the difference between a left click and a right click whenever you are selecting items on a screen. Okay, so to begin with then, getting into SAS, you want to go to the Start button at the lower left and you click on it and see the available software on your computer, and you scroll to the letter S to find SAS, and you want to select SAS 9.4 English. Notice there are several other products here. They're all good products, but that's not what we want here. So be especially cautious if you see the SAS 9.4 English and English with DBCS. These do behave differently, and you want to make sure that you select the one that's SAS 9.4 English. Your screen may appear a little bit different than this if you have a different operating system than what my computer has here, and you may have a different list of products installed on the computer you're using. So if you don't see all of these SAS products, that's not to worry, but you should see that you have SAS 9.4 English. When you open a SAS program, you kind of have 5 windows or environments open, and it's an editor window, a log window, a results tab, and an explorer tab or window. And the window bars for these are located at the bottom of the SAS screen. So now in this video I'm going to exit the handout and bring up a SAS window and discuss what's going on in that output. And so I will follow along this handout kind of as a script for one of your in-class examples, and then execute what the steps in this Getting Started handout is doing. Okay, so the contents of my SAS when I open this are as follows. So I've got down here an editor window, a log window. There's also something referred to as an output window. We have a results tab and an explorer tab. So these are the 5 things I was referring to, or the 5 windows or environments you have open. The editor window, this is where we can write anything we want here, but this is where we will write the text for our SAS code or programs, and then we'll run a program from this window. The log window is where we get information back. Have we made a mistake? How much CPU time things took? And so when we'll run some of the programs, we'll look at this log window because that's essential for how we debug our programs. And as we work through some things, we'll talk about the Explorer and Results windows in a bit. So what we are learning is the SAS editor, and so that means then just this part down here. Notice there are some different pull down menus here across the top. Off of the solutions pull down menu you can access some of the other SAS products that we saw from the start menu, but we're going to stay here with the SAS editor window. Now there's 2 versions of an editor. There's editor and program editor. The program editor is the older version of this, and this one labeled editor is the one we want to be in. In SAS documentation, it's also referred to as the enhanced editor, but on the window all it says here is editor. So the icon here, the little notepad with the plus sign, means that it's the enhanced editor. Towards the end of this demonstration, we'll show you the program editor so you can tell the two apart, and you can correct any kind of an action you make that would have put you in the program editor. When you're in the editor window or any of these windows within SAS, the idea of how you can maximize or minimize windows then are just as they are in other software products. X closes the window, minimizing or maximizing the window, so you can maximize it and so that the entire screen within SAS goes to the editor. We also have the window bars down here that if you want to move to another one of the windows, you can use the window bars at the bottom of the screen, and so that you can arrange the windows how you like. You can also use the view pull down menus up here if you wish to move to another editor, or pardon me, to another window. The other editor is the program editor. Notice that the icon looks a lot like the enhanced editor, except it doesn't have that plus sign, but you do see the word enhanced here, and so that's the same as the editor we want to operate in here. You can also get windows by right-clicking anywhere on the screen, and if you right-click, depends on where you're at on the screen, your choices are a little bit different. And so that if I were to go to toggle this back down, here right-clicking, so I get these pop-up menus, so it depends on which window you're in, what's available. So from the log window, notice my options up here are similar to what I see over here. Okay. You can page up and page down the same way you do in other documents. Those keys still work. Or there's also, whenever you activate a window and you start typing information here, begin filling content, you'll be able to have that scrolling capability as well. Right now, since those windows are essentially empty, there's nothing to scroll down to. Old timers like me had learned to program SAS using function keys. So at the top of my keyboard where I have some function keys, F5, F6, F7, etc. Those are also used to control movement from one window to a next. And so on screen here I will try to make it such that I'm using the selections available on screen, so you'll know exactly how it is I'm moving from one window to the next, and how I'm going to run a program and edit things. So I will not use the function keys, but there is some information available for what those are. This is a handout from your class. It's the first analysis of variance example, and so rather than the parking fines program that's in the handout for getting started, I'm using one that's specific to your class. And so in this we have 15 1-acre plots are used to compare yields of 3 varieties of wheat. Each variety is assigned to 5 randomly selected plots. At harvest time, the yield measured in bushels per acre is measured. During the season, 3 plots were flooded and all wheat was lost from those plots. So what I have here is a table with the data. Variety 1 had 3 observations, and so 2 missing due to the flood, it says. Variety 2 has all 5 measures, and variety 3 has 4 measures. So this is the information we want to pass into the program, and so then we have a program. Now in all of our handouts, what you will see is this font here that's in uppercase. These are the SAS commands. Immediately what we see here is that the punctuation in SAS is a semicolon, and for what we're doing right now you can enter in exactly this information. It doesn't matter uppercase, lowercase at this time. There are a few places where it does make a difference, but for right now, if you're working along with this video or wish to work along with this video, pause the video, take the information from your analysis of variance SAS example 1 from the course, and you can enter it in and follow along. So when I enter a program in the SAS editor, it's a lot easier if you maximize that editor window. I'm going to paste the program in entering my code, but in this case then we'll just paste the program in the editor window. You see the colorization here. The colorization is what we mean by the enhanced editor. And one of the things I'll do here just as we're working along so it's a little bit more visible to you in the videos. I'm going to put the font size up a little bit. Okay, and so you see the punctuation of a semicolon, you see the color changing. The color changing and these horizontal lines that appear in different parts of the program are functions of the enhanced editor, and so that um, uh, we will get used to what these colors mean and what some of these horizontal lines mean as we get more SAS maturity, that is, as we get more experience. Typically, whenever you write a SAS program, you have a run statement at the end, and then the other statement that you end up with is a quit statement, so that that notes the end of your program. What the rest of these commands do will not go into in this video. Okay, so when we first start here, we have a data set called wheat, variety, and yield. So it's we're entering information in here, and so we have the word variety. Uppercase and lowercase is not an issue for us at this time, but spelling is important, so we want to make sure that we're consistent in how we spell those throughout the program. Okay, commands that are boldface or this bright blue, those are SAS commands, and therefore we don't want to change how those are punctuated or spelled. If we omit a semicolon somewhere, you'll notice some changes in the screen. So if I omit a semicolon here, very subtle change here is the change from bright blue to black for the word data lines. And then we noticed we had that kind of a yellow highlighting on the numbers down here, and we lost that. When I restore the semicolon, it comes back. So that's the enhanced editor helping us to debug some things. So once you enter a program and you believe you have it entered incorrectly, you want to run it to get it to perform some task for you. So in this case, we're asking for a computation to be done. And to run a program, there are multiple ways you can do this. Okay, up here, old school, is called the command line. The command line, you can type the word submit, and that's going to submit the contents of the editor window. The other thing you can do is you can use pull down menus, and so you can do run and submit. You can right click in the window and you can do submit all, or you can click on the little running man. If you let your mouse hover there for a second, it prompts there that that's the submit key, and if you're using function keys such as I tend to do, it is the function key F8. But here we'll just click on the little running man. It tells me over here that it's running, and then I get some results. Now notice what I have down here: output, log, the enhanced editor, and I have a new window bar down here for the results viewer. This is where SAS has given me the information I've asked it to compute, and you can scroll up through this, and so this is what that code does. Now when you go back to the lecture portion of the course, you'll get the information then that says what the commands gave, which parts of this output. Let's move back to the editor window. So how you learn to debug programs, you saw what happened when I deleted the semicolon there. Suppose we ran the program without that. We didn't realize that mistake. So if we do this and we run the program, it ran something here in the background, and I moved to the log window, and I guess I should have done that before, but it tells me that I've got a problem. It says no data lines or in file statement, and when you read that you say, well, I do have a data line statement. You do, but it's because the line before it was not punctuated, that means it's a run-on sentence. So even though it's on a different line, you have to punctuate things correctly, the same as you would as if you were writing a report or a composition. Omitting a semicolon is making it look like a run-on sentence. So to fix it, you have to come back to the enhanced editor, you put the semicolon in, and then it corrects itself. On the line by itself, here we see a semicolon, and so that's an option. You don't have to do that. Notice all the lines that are SAS commands are punctuated with a semicolon. Things that are not SAS are not punctuated. If you put a line here on this bottom line here, if we would have put the semicolon there rather than this point, notice we lost that yellow shading everywhere because it's reading these numbers now and expecting that those are a SAS command when in fact they are not. So we want to move that semicolon to a line by itself if we choose to use it at all. Blank lines in your programs don't hurt, so I've got that extra return in there. It generated a blank line. Blank lines don't hurt anything there. If we come to some of these other places here, suppose we make a typographical error and we see MODL instead of the word model. Uh, so realistically, a type of error we could be making here, and if we run this and we come to the log window, we're given a warning. It said assuming the symbol model was spelled as MODL. So there are some things that it might catch and correctly fix for you in order to run. It doesn't actually fix the program, but notice that the word model, instead of being bright blue, is now red and indicative of an error, so that we would want to fix that before we go any further. What would happen, say, if we would have left off a semicolon here? Okay, very subtle difference again. The word means went from bright blue to black. If we run this program again, we look at the log and it says error. Variable means not found. Okay, effect, and so it didn't run anything. It says the previous statement has been deleted. Well, the previous statement is all of this model and means together. It doesn't separate those because of the lack of punctuation. So that you would have to fix the problem and then resubmit the program. Another common place for a mistake or an error are in where you see quotations. If I take a quotation mark out, an unbalanced quotation mark, you'll notice that the run statement and the quit statement change to this purplish color, the same as the inside the quotation marks, and so it's still, that's an unbalanced quotation, and so the quotation is still open. So we'll close that. If we do it up here at the top of the program, notice the entire program is read as a quotation until it gets down to here and it closes it. So unbalanced quotation marks are a frequent source of error, and so we want to make sure that we avoid that. So we can look at the log window and scroll through and see what's going on here. We're getting our results in the results viewer. Notice it disappeared whenever I had the errors in the program in the most recent run of the program. Let's see if there's other errors that we can, I guess we made the two most common there, the misspelling where it corrects it, and we made a critical error where we didn't get any output. Some errors can result in just, if it's a minor error, it can result in maybe a partial output, and so that you have to be careful that it's reading in all the data. When we talked about this error back up here, if we run this program, it runs fine. We run it, we see it's got an error statement. It says something's wrong with this statement. Okay, so if we run a program and we have an error with our data, the stuff we own is our data. If there's an error in the data, SAS does not have a way to check that. It'll flag errors for code. In this case, the code was because we punctuated data. And then notice our results viewer popped back up, so it gave us some information. So again, let's fix this. One of the lines here that is optional is this very first line. If I take it out, I'm just going to use the cut tool. If I take this out and I click run, okay, it stacks things up here. So I have this incomplete run of the GLM. So this is on the results tab. The results tab, you can look at this as it's kind of a table of contents for what's going on over here in your results viewer, and so that you can end up with several different items over here, and you can click on those and it'll advance to that page in the results, which is quite handy when you have lengthy output. But when we scroll up, we see this analysis of variance example that we started with, and we scroll back up some more, and we see the first one where we didn't have any of variety 3 due to that data error I created on purpose. So we have an accumulation of information in the results viewer, and if I move to the log window and scroll up there, I've got the log from the version of the program where the semicolon was in the inappropriate place, and then when I reran it I get the program again. So we can see we're getting harmless information in the log window when it runs correctly. Whenever we see the terms error or warning, that means we need to fix something. Another message you should look for here is invalid data, because you'll want to fix that as well. So when I move to the editor window, I only see the program once, but I've got these two sets of output, and so even though I know it's not going to change things, when I run it again, notice I get things building up here. And so I want these windows to be able to clear. I don't want them to accumulate necessarily. So I've got three versions of the program now in the log window. I've got three versions of output in the results viewer, but I only have one program. Okay, so you can move to the log window and you can go to the edit pull down menu and you can clear everything that's there. You can do a similar thing with the results viewer. The line of code I gave you at the top that I'll push back in here is the display manager. It says go to the log window, clear it, go to the results window, that's what ODS results refers to this, and clear it. So whenever that says do these actions before you execute this program, and so whenever we do that and just run this part of it, you'll see these get deleted and the contents of the log window will go away. I've not run it here yet, but you see all these index numbers here for the rows. These are just assistants for you to help in debugging a program. Sometimes SAS will say in line 84 you did something wrong. Okay, so whenever you rerun it, notice this reset over here. We move to the log and scroll up. We only have one program there. The index numbers here keep increasing. As long as I don't exit SAS, they'll keep growing, and so it's not unusual for those to get up in the thousands if you're in a particularly long SAS session. But the rest of the program, I've just got one version of the program. If you ever have any questions on I've made a mistake in the program and I'm not sure what's going on, you can send me the information in an email. So you can just copy this just like you would in a word processing document. You can copy it, paste it into an email and say I don't understand this error message or what it's doing here, or likewise you can do that with the program. Things in the results viewer are also available. You can look at those and copy and paste just the particular things you need, or you can select all of it and then you can copy all of it and paste it in another document and change the fonts and such then once you get it to that destination software. If you see a graph that you would like, you can just right click on the graph and you can copy it and paste it into a word processing document or some kind of presentation software for your report. But you can, and so it's not necessary to copy all of the things out of the results viewer. And there are some more sophisticated tools than that we can do, but that's just kind of the basics here at this point. Now I did tell you that I would talk to you about the program editor. So it's possible for the enhanced editor, or just labeled as editor here, that you can end up in the wrong window. So all I'm going to do is select everything here, copy it. I'm going to go to a view menu and select program editor. And the reason it's really easy to get there is because you think, well, I'm writing a program, so that must be what I need. And so when you paste it in, it has a very different look to it. Now the font here, I can't control it like I do in the enhanced editor, so that's the obvious thing here is the font size changed. But in practice they're going to be about the same size, but you'll see the colorization is a little bit different here than it was in the enhanced editor. In the enhanced editor I also had these horizontal lines and also had a different font. You can run things from the program editor the same as before. Notice our buttons are in a little different order, but I can still run things. And I go to the log window and everything looks great. Okay, so you can run things from the program editor. Suppose you want to add on more statements or you have an error and you want to correct it. You move back to the program editor and your program's not there. The program editor, as I said, is the older version of the editor. you could only have one program editor open at a time, whereas with the enhanced editor you can have multiple editor windows or multiple enhanced editor windows open at a time. Okay, so if you've made the mistake and you've run something from the program editor and you've run it and you come back and you don't see the program, it exists. SAS stores it in memory from the program editor. So what you want to do is go to Run, Recall Last Submit. It's also function key F4. Just do that F4 once or that recall once and it brings the last program you ran back into the program editor. Once you get it there, copy it, move it to an enhanced editor window, a new editor window. Okay, so I wanted you to know how to get out of that pickle in the event you find yourself without a program showing up there. If we move back to the editor window, we can save things from the editor window. So just File and Save As. When you want to save things as a SAS program, it puts an SAS extension, and so you can just browse to the folder you wish to put it in, just like you do in other software products. You can create new folders, whatever you want to do. So if it puts an SAS extension, it recognizes that as a program. You can also look at the results and you can save those, but you have to be active in that window. So whenever you want to save things there, it's going to save things as HTML type or web documents. You can also save the contents of the log file, and if you save as there, it puts an LOG extension, but it's just really a simple space delimited text file that you can open. And so in fact your programs and your log, you can open those in word processing documents or something as simple as Notepad as well. But if you're going to open something from from a folder on your computer, okay, then it's just File and then you can open the program. But if you're going to open a program, you have to be in an editor window for that to happen. If you've saved a file, a program, and if you wish to print it, you can do that. You can just go to File, Print. It'll go to your default printer. You can do a page setup or a print setup. So a page setup, notice it doesn't give you much in the way of margins, and you can change those. You can change the size of the paper, customize that to what you're using and what you have available. Getting help in SAS, the help is this little button right up here, and so that once you get going in the class and you figure out the notation here, the uppercase lowercase part, that's the same thing as the SAS help and documentation does. And so once you learn how to use that tool, that can you can find a lot of answers there in terms of programming. Now, as I said earlier, whenever this program code, I didn't tell you what the program code's job was to do. It was just merely how do we run a program, find an error, fix the error, and obtain complete output. So the take-home messages here are if you make errors, you could end up with no output or partial output, or incorrect output, or some combination of those last two. It could be partial and incorrect. So you want to make sure that you have everything in there that you're supposed to have in your programs. To exit SAS, you can click on the upper right hand corner here. You can go down here and File, Exit as well. Either of those work. If you have unsaved work, it'll ask you if you wish to save it, and so you want to make sure that you make the decision there. Results viewer content, these can get quite lengthy, and unless you have a lot of space for storage, you want to make sure that you save the right thing. So for sure, save your program. You can always regenerate the output. Log, typically we don't save the log files because you're just kind of using those as you work in SAS. The results viewer, it may be useful for you to save them and or print them. So do whatever is best for your needs when it comes to the results viewer. OSU has also made available to students enrolled on campus, whether they are distance learning students or traditional on-campus students that you can access SAS online using Virtual Lab and SAS. And so in this instruction sheet, it also tells you how to do that. You will need to install the VMware Horizon client on your computer, and there are instructions in here for how to do that. So the instructions given from OSU's IT department, and so it will tell you how to do this. The screen captures again may look different for your computer, and so that you want to install the virtual lab in SAS. And so there are multiple products available through the VM Horizon client software, and so that you will log in just the same as you would use to the online classroom using your OKey username and your password. And then you'll look for the virtual lab in SAS, and so that you can open it. Then you'll also then find the SAS 9.4. So again, the OSU IT may not have everything in there that you're accustomed to seeing, and the reason is they have to keep the security up pretty high, and so that that allows you to work using SAS from a remote distance. And the disadvantage really is that you may not be able to save to your local hard drive, but you may be able to access your email and email yourself a program, email yourself the results. So the reason for that bit of awkwardness is because of the security associated with that file server that's housing virtual SAS. But once you're in virtual SAS, it looks and runs just like the SAS product that I've just shown you. There are some commands that you may want to include at the top, and the H is that you drive here is that every student at OSU has an H drive, and so you can divert images and things to your H drive. So in the past, it's been known that these things tend to accumulate on the virtual server, and so that they may have addressed that issue. I'm not sure where it stands at the timing of making this video. Okay, so do divert things to your H drive is best. That's all I have on this for now, and so if you have any questions, be sure and ask. And so you need to go with this Getting Started in SAS handout. So the link for this video should occur nearby this handout. So if you've watched this video without the handout, you need to make sure you locate that handout. Ask any questions about SAS as you have them. Biggest question is, do I have to do SAS for this course? Yes. The computations that we're doing you don't want to do by hand, and so in fact some of the things that we get into later on in the course that we're not capable of doing that by hand, so you must use a programming package to analyze the data, and that's an absolute requirement. And so each of your exams that you'll see in the course will have a required SAS component on the exams as well. That's all for now on this video. Again, if you have questions, please ask.